Muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to all for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love you guys extend and share with me. From the heart, thank you. Also, do please like, share, and subscribe, and help me get the message out there, at least to where it needs to go, right? Gracias. Well, everyone, today I want to touch in on a camarada, right, that has a similar story to mine, you could say. But of course, everybody has their own story per se. But it just to touch in a little how I always say, when a pili falls, you're destined to fall. There is occasions where you have value, right, as a person. Cause a lot of people could come on here and they could say, "Oh, I held this, I did that." Okay, was it cause you're a faller, or was it cause you had value to bring to the table, right? But anyways, allow me to discuss on the homie, right? I will continue with the Orange County, as I said. This one is gonna circle around Sana, the homie Grillo from Santa Anita, and Woody from Compton. I know Woody's like from the left field, right? But anyways, first let me take you back, right? When I was in the feds, when I was with Sana, they were having a discussion, or it wasn't even a discussion. It was a power trip, right? Cause Sana was in touch with the homie. Give me a second. Danger, danger. That dagger from Seven O's. Excuse me. I was you could say a fly in the wall, right? And I caught the end of it. For example, I know the homie, I'll just call him D, right? The homie D was answering to Sana. And, it was, you could say shortly after they had been kicked out the shoe, right, in Cali. And in the feds, well, it was normal program, right? Nevertheless, it was never a problem because, he did his things and paid his respects the way a camarada's supposed to, right? Seven O's by nature belongs to Woody, right? Because that's his neighborhood. So, of course, the homie being from there, right? D, and working for Sana. Sana had a lot of reach when it came to weight, right? And it wasn't because of what he was doing. I'm just being sincere. That old man was loved, right, by OC. And there was a lot of camaradas from OC that was in touch with him that had reach. I mean, reach. And they would gladly bring it to the old man, right? And this is one, right? Again, they had an argument, basically, it was never a problem, right? I guess the homie D had a little casita out there. Not sure if it was in Compton or it was somewhere in that area, right? And as time went on, greed comes into effect. It's that Tecato mentality, right? They don't necessarily have to use. It's like they state nowadays, right? For an addict don't have to use. It's just a state of mind, right? His behaviors, his you could say actions through his thoughts is what makes him an addict. I think it goes hand in hand with a Tecato, right? They reach up there, and even if they're not one, eventually they have to play ball, right? Anyways, fresh out, Sana was still alive. We were out there in the feds, and next thing you know, the homie D, he got requested, right, that if he was going to be in that territory, it was going to be moving his material or straight half of whatever he sold, and it was going to go through Woody Soldados first to know exactly what's being sold, was going to go to him. So of course, him always paying respects, and that old man being okay with it, right? At the end of the day, he's on the old man's wing, right, on the streets. It ain't like, anyways, it's always that set trip, right? Feds one thing, it's always over something, right? Again, Sana was that old man, right? That he basically told him, hey, you just keep doing your thing, keep showing them respects, and he can't do nothing. And it might be true, when it comes to Sana. But you see, when it's these individuals to prove a point to another feeling, and you as a camarada, don't matter where you're at, and the ladder as a sureño, you're just you're just a tool to be used, right? To prove a point to the other Pili, which it happened to the dot, right? And I believe that this is when Woody caught some type of a grudge, right, against Sana. Because Sana did a few things that against Woody, but that old man was slick. And, well, I don't know if they're out there, so I'll just talk about what I know that's out there, right? For a fact. The homie got moved on, people were arrested, and, again, forgot if it was in Compton, Watts, or in that little area, right, where they had, Sana had that little casita, and we're just being sincere, old man was reaching out from his territory, right? But it's all part of having that power hunger trip, right? You saw el machingon type of thing. I could go in wherever, nobody could tell me nothing. And for years he did it, correct? Anyways, through time when I came to Mexico, there was a camarada that he'd done a grip of time, but it was federal, right? Over 20 years too. Maybe like a month, 2 months before I got out, he got out. And he had his own people, a lot of family too in Mexico. But it was more in Juarez in that area, right? But again, that's why he was in the feds, right? For material, right? Moving in an OC. Again, he was from Santa Anita, right? Grillo. And homeboy brought a lot to the table. He supplied a lot of Sana soldados NOC with material. He was just one of many, right? Again, they had love for that old man. And you know, towards where well before Sana died, right? And Woody already started again, he was on the linea already a couple years, so he started picking up camaradas from OC, right? And it was a perfect question they asked me on the live today, which is Santana is always there's a lot of homies, right? With love and respect to all the camaradas from OC, right? They're solid from OC's always present, right? Garden Grove, Buena Park, La Habra, La Joya, Orange. But it's just Santana's has a lot of heads, right? A lot of homies. And there was a couple issues and basically Woody had to sit down and take it, right, when it came to Orange County, because well, you guys know the history of Sana, right, and people trying to step on his toes when it comes to OC. But there was more blood, bad blood, right, amongst carnales, and that always spells bloodshed for camaradas, right. But again, it's he knew how to play his cards, right, Woody, and he waited till Sana passed away, towards the end, know if he was gonna pass away, but things happen, right? And he tag team with Psycho, Kishi, Crow, and and himself, right? And they were doing their thing, and he picked up a couple camaradas from Santa Anita, right? From Hard Times Santa Anita, that little area, and basically the homie Grillo, what we all think, right? Well, at least the ones that always got loyalty card, right? And I know it's something hard to digest or even talk about, but you can't be loyal to these individuals. Raul, he ingrained that when we were cellies, in Quilmas, that you pay your respects, you get to a spot, you inform whoever told you where you're coming from to inform that you're there, you're in this position for him, whatever, you'll fall in the line for him while you're there, but no promises, right? You leave there and you're for the causa. Because you stay loyal to one pili, it's always bad for you, for a camarada. In this case, Sana didn't go bad. It just happened to, hit his time. And a lot of his soldados, again, he had a lot of love, right? They stayed functioning. The problem is they already, there was a little, you could say, back and forth between Son and Woody, and the one in the middle was Grillo. But again, Woody had to eat that, right? So it was planned, con maña. It's all generated, right? From the gate, I believe. Woody basically told the homie, hey, we'll continue. You got your people out there, you got everything. Everything will keep functioning. At the end of the day, Woody wasn't bringing nothing to the table. Which is most of the cases, right? They want everything from you in your neighborhood, but they just bring their presence. You know, they want to be getting high in the background while people lose their life and everything. And I understand that's what we sign up for, But the abuse that now it's getting, is something. Well, at least I believe something gotta change, right? Again, the homie Grillo, he had a lot of family, right, from Juarez back, and I made him. I met him with the homie Crook from Golden West in Mexico, right? After Sana had passed, and I was already down here in 2019, 20, somewhere there, and it was a death spell in all Mexico when it came to soda for certain shifts, movements in the South America state, where it came from. I'll just leave it at that. And Big Bus, I had spoken about this individual, and anyways, it came down to see if something, in Sinaloa, and it wasn't through us; it was a different family, but they got put together, Of course, places, I would have waited, but again, the homie had that inch to please, right, Woody, and he did so. He did so, The second time they came, there was a long story on the homie from Golden West, right? Before they even came down, there was a long story, I wasn't there that night, right, with where they actually had to, by the orders of the Pili out here, right, from that area, that's real close to Woody. He had to be taken out to El Cerrito, and Naomi had to. Oh, no, I'm not gonna touch on that, but you guys could take it from there, right? And to me, it was a sign, right? I'll be sincere with everyone, when this happened. Grillo, after a while, they would call him Montes out here, cause I knew the mountains. I'll just leave it at that, right? The homie, and he had a lot of reach in OC, right? And everything was put in Woody's hands, lap, without him having to do nothing but use his name, right? But Grillo, I guess, had started playing that, but a lot of homies think they could reach that, Stay in Mexico and just from Mexico around the strings, in Garden Grove and whatever he was doing, right? In that sense. And I'll just be honest, a lot of the times that you see Pilis take out someone that's bringing good in every sense to them, right? It's for fear. It's for fear and jealousy. I guess it goes with everything, right? It's like when you're at a job, right? There's always that person that works with you that he's gonna try to earn the balls with his lips, right? Smugging you. And it's just part of jealousy, right? And that mentality, don't let go. But overall, they basically try to say that, they try to say that when Grillo was responsible, helping with these casita out there that basically they abused of a hyena. Well, not even a hyena, it was a young female, which was BS, there was never a report, no paperwork, nothing. It was basically Grillo had already given that pipelines and avenues to Woody. Woody felt he could remove him and keep working him, which he did. I don't know if today I won't speak of present, you guys know that, but that he kept pipelines that Grillo was functioning them. He introduced him como el señor, right? But anyways, a lot of people ask me if I've seen any, they asked me if I've seen camaradas get done, like really done out here, right? Over stuff. And this is one of them. This is one of them where, there was an individual out. This happened out towards Colima, excuse me. There was an individual out there that he enjoyed what he did. And that night we were supposed to be told to shut up, stay quiet. They were on the other side of the ranch and you could hear it. And overall, when somebody asked Woody what had happened, he came out with this story, which again, I was with Sana up there. And if this would have happened, believe me, it would have been an issue for a lot of reasons, right? Barry was, well, it was around his area, believe me. That he's after money and dope. And if he could clip a carnal for them by a little mistake like that for his crew, he would have. At the end of the day, it's greed. You see, again, when you're loyal to a Pili, you're gonna fall with them. You could go in and give everything you have, but look around. Let's just be sincere on things, right? Mostly everyone that's up there as a señor or a high placed camarada, right? High placed camarada would eventually get sick of getting stringed along, right? Hey, I'm gonna make you, hey, do this and run this, or just tired, right? Of chasing dope and directions that make no sense. They walk away, right? Or they get pushed out for whatever reason. They know too much, whatever, right? But let's be honest. I think everybody with their hands can count those pilis that last, right? You constantly see them pilis that they walk off. So that's a message I want to put here. If you already there, again, do your thing. I'll never advise you to weenie out. If you're there, complete the mission. Don't be that individual that goes in there, wants to play the hard part. Then at the last minute, time gets to him, he wants to go home, and that's understandable and respectful. But then he weenies out and he gets out, and he still wants to lift his cuello like he's this and that. But again, to each their own. My respects. If you're in there, boogie, lace up, boot up, boogie. But if you're not there, there's always time. Be smart. Even if you're in there, remember, they always say it. Whatever happens with a sureño don't apply to me. I remember Woody was a big speaker on this, right? In the Bay. Believe me. So answer me this. Why as a camarada, you can't just follow suit, be a soldado for the causa. And why can't that be respect? Just like we have to respect them, right? In that sense. F us. Or sureños, excuse me. Even norteños. Why you can't go in there and just do your time and program, function. If it goes up, vámonos. No, you gotta obligate yourself to follow their rules and regulations. Not even a camarada, cause remember, they even stated they're not camaradas no more. And if not, you're through. Or like now, can't even have family come visit you every week no more, right? Send you packages. Look for people that don't get nothing. Help them out a little bit. Get extra packages cause you're gonna break bread. Cause being punk is part of the program. So stay where you have value, in your hood, whatever. Again, do what you have to do, but at the same time, be smart. Stay true to yourself. Loyal to yourself. As loyal to family. Remember, everything should have, etapas. Everything should have their time, start and end, right? Why can't, if you started, why can't you better yourself instead of having to go earn your stripes and follow adult fiends, rules and regulations? Cause it ain't even for the raza. Think about it. Buenas noches.